Part two. Wizard time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there's 4 different roads that you can take. Goes a little bit further than that, but to keep it simple, there's 4 main focuses that you're going to go for wizard. The quickest one we can go over is warlock. You get double your death and flame
I'm in
school
there. Yeah.
verbals, but you don't have access to any other verbals outside of that. So what does that mean? You're losing access to men, losing access to release, you're losing access to teleport, but
Dispel.
yeah, dispel, another big thing you're missing out on. But the saving grace is that you still have access to all your magic balls. In a case where you narrow your scope down to flame and death school abilities, even though you get double your uses, you have to now focus those magic balls on patching the holes. So I would advise against taking fireballs. I would advise against taking lightning bolt because you're putting too much focus on what you already have. You already have a bunch of woundings. You have a bunch of heat weapons. You have a bunch of pyrotechnics, which I really suggest taking pyrotechnics with Warlock. You have 4 50-foot range threats, which I'll
You also
touch
get
on in a
void.
moment.
You also get void touch.
You also still have access to Void Touch. Yeah, you still have access to the enchants. As a reminder, Void Touch is still expensive. So at that level, it's kind of a question of like, how many fingers of death do I want to take with me? Normally, when I go Warlock, I take my 4 fingers of death and I have 8. And then in some cases, I might drop a couple if I have someone on my team that I can trust to take a persistent Void Touch. Void Touch, easily best enchantment in the game. I can't imagine much that comes close to it. Wizard being a class that doesn't have access to as many enchantments and doesn't generally take a lot of enchantments, it's something that you really got to think about taking. I would advise against Battle Mage for Warlock just because, again, it can really pigeonhole you into just being Flame and Death School. You no longer have answers to, you limit the answers that you have to Paladins and anti-Paladins, which we're in a heavy Paladin meta right now. It gets a lot easier to cripple you as a wizard.
Yep.
So moving on, I want to talk about Evoker. Evoker has been my favorite wizard archetype since I started the game. I love throwing magic balls. I love the amount of battlefield control you have with it. You have an answer to every single problem on the field, save for targets that are enchanted to counter you, whether it be an imbue shield, whether it be someone who has pro mag. I've heard of people saying that, oh, well, you can tank a break con as an evoker wizard because you can still use your spells. So other casters will usually try to greater release you. They'll try to remove that enchantment from you, which that's all fine and dandy, but you can still charge your magic ball. So even if
Yeah.
they remove your elemental barrage, you can still bring in innate with you, charge up your elemental barrage, and congratulations, you have it back. Or I get a fireball or I get a lightning ball and I stop someone and I kill them with my basic magic balls. Congratulations, steal life. I get my elemental barrage back. It's so easy to just reload it.
Or even if you
I
have someone on your team who's walking back to your spawn and you don't have a healer who's going to resurrect them, it's like, hey, can you come here real quick? Steal life. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so easy to just get it back. And inviting a healer who their greater releases are per refresh.
Per refresh. Yeah.
I think for a healer to lose their greater release is a lot more valuable than for me to reload what is essentially my light machine gun, right? If we're considering like if the sphere of annihilation is the legal equivalent of bringing a gun onto the field, being a evoker wizard is like bringing a freaking machine gun. You have so many shots in your magazine ready to fire, and whenever you have to reload, it's going to be lengthy. It's going to take a while. You got to walk around to pick all your shots back up. For you to even be able to pick it up without dying for it,
Die retrieve.
you can't retrieve your wizard. It's you pretty much have to take a death to
Yeah.
pick up your balls safely, unless you win a team fight and your team is pushed up and it's all safe ground. But if it's not safe ground and you guys haven't made any space any progress on the field to get your equipment back, then that's like one of the cases where it's kind of hard to get your stuff back and continue a fight.
I think that creates
um
an interesting question though, like menacing with a spell ball. Because unless the person states that they have an imbue shield, that shit's scary as fuck. And especially if
yeah
you're playing close enough that your threat you missing that is fairly low on boards or heavily armored players, they're going to fucking avoid you. They're going to stay as far away from you as possible. And you menacing that, or maybe like trying to fake throws to kind of get people, like to fake them out, is a great way to play it. Now, mind you, much like how we talked about with the archers, you can't do that forever, because if not, then they're going to think you're a clown and that you can't back up the threat. Also, keep in mind with e-barrage, for the newer players who are getting into that, you cannot pick up your balls once you start e-barrage. Once you do, you automatically lose it. It turns off. So just keep that in mind. But no, Eric's absolutely right. The uptime that you can get on Evoker is extremely good, and the highs are extremely high. You're
And not
pigeonholing
to
yourself a little
mention,
bit, but
you know, with the new changes to Wizard, changing around the way that how many of each of the magic balls you can take, they limited Ice Ball down to 3. I think for me that's acceptable because even when it was higher than that, I believe it went up to 6 because it was 2 balls per point. 3 ice balls is plenty. I think even with that, if you're taking someone off the field for 60 seconds, that's turning a 4v4 into a 3v4. And now that one person can either get released, which puts a caster at threat range because now they have to come closer to try to release them. That's it. We can just stomp the rest of the team. We push them back and that person's taken care of. Ice Ball's great. Lightning Ball's a must have. Phase Bolt is your only answer to monks. So I always suggest taking 1 or 2. 1 if you have if you really trust your aim. 2 if you're realistic and you know you're probably going to miss the first shot. I don't often take Sphere of Annihilation. I find that a lightning ball can take down a warrior with 6 points pretty easily. I think now with the current meta, which it's definitely been a while since I've played Evoker. Last I played Evoker, Fight After Death was still a thing. But with the new meta, I find that Sphere of Annihilation is probably a better answer to Imbue Shield and Paladins than anything else in your kit. Whether they take Pro Mag or whether they take Imbue Shield, Sphere is going to be your answer. So that's Evoker. And then when we talk about Battle Mage, you've got a 20-foot range for all your verbals and you have unlimited ambulance. That means if you don't even take equipment, which I think you should still take a dagger because that's like your mini shield, right? If I block an arrow with that dagger, I can still mend my dagger. I get it back for pretty cheap. But the big thing is just you have to have good cardio to play Battle Mage. You have to be ready to outrun every person who's going to be charging you because there is a big, beautiful red target on the center of your chest and everyone wants your blood. If I'm targeting one person, I have to know that my peripheral vision is limited, right? It's very easy to tunnel vision on one person and you're going to get flanked. So keep in mind that the moment you start casting on one person, you want to just take a quick glance to your right, to your left, be ready for the enemy team to have someone charging you because that's the answer to Wizard, right? So if I know that Barbarian's answer to me is the moment I start casting on you, you're going to rage and charge me, I have to have my heat weapon ready. I have to know that I have to heat weapon you because for 7 seconds, I can do nothing else but heat your weapon and run with my tail between my legs. You know, keeping in mind what other players' plans against you are is going to help you prepare for what you're going to be doing on the field. That's not touching any of the specific spells. I mean, I don't want to get too granular talking about the wizard because all the spells are answers to different problems. So like if there's a barbarian on the field, maybe they're out of rage, maybe there's a warrior on the field, I can wound a leg and I have turned one threat off by just legging them. But I can't do that to a paladin. So maybe I heat their weapon, maybe I pyrotechnics them, maybe I throw icy blast on them, right? It almost doesn't even matter what the spell you're using is because at the end of the day, once I finish casting that verbal on you, I should be shutting you down. I should be preventing you from doing something to my team. Talking about the specific spells, I think is just almost not necessary. Yeah, it doesn't do it justice. You're essentially controlling the whole field.
I think the interesting part to talk about more with Wizard is not like the tools in the tool belt, but more like the methodology, the mentality that you have to come in with it. Okay, cool. I have a barbarian who's got a sword and board charging at me. What do I do? Heat his weapon. Okay, cool. Pyro also works because that solves your issue. But it's getting into the mindset of looking for problems and understanding that you can be reactive And that wizard kind of forces you to kind of play reactively. You do, like, you have a specialty, or you have some sort of spell that's always going to be there to fix any given problem that you need. It's all about having the foresight and understanding when you can do it and when you ought to do it. So, like, for instance, is me blowing a pyro going to be worth it in the long run? Pyro is a big spell to invest. It's a humongous cooldown because of it being a per refresh. Is it worth it doing it now? Is there enough time for me to take this objective? And is it going to make a difference for the game? If yes, abso-fucking-lutely. That dude's getting all of his crap blown up. Is heating a weapon worth it? Can a teammate of mine take advantage of the fact that this person now has one less weapon to deal with? If so, then yes, do it. It's understanding that just not going onto the field with 50 shoves or throws just to be an annoyance is your game plan, quote unquote. Your job is to look for problems and figure them out while making your team's ability to deal with people easier. The wounding ravage combo is funny, yeah, sure. But you know what's funnier than that? Wounding and letting your assassins not get free coup de grace, and then the ensuing assassinate. Or setting up like Icy Blasts for if you don't run Shatter, if you don't have Shatter. Icy Blasts into release combos where you catch kill people, or playing off of other people within your own class. We have plenty of opportunities where you end up having a Battle Mage on one part of your team and an Evoker as well. Evoker sets you up with the Ice Balls, you've got the Shatters ready to go. But it's looking for those kinds of opportunities to work together and finding the way where you're getting value for your investments. Understand that like Wizard is a class that teaches the spell slot economy better than any other class in the game. It's understanding investment to outcome.
I was just gonna say, to throw in my 2 cents on Wizard, personally, I don't play Wizard a whole lot, but every time that I've gone to play this, my personal favorite is Battle Mage, but perhaps because when I started playing the game and learning how to play Bard, my first class, I was playing against Sir Bolt, who was playing as a battle mage, and I was like, I want to be just like that guy someday. He's running around with a single sword, he's yelling at people, he's lighting them up, and then he's running over to someone else and yelling at them, and then lighting them up with a single sword, and I was like, that's beautiful. When Rook said Battle Mage requires cardio, 1000%. Because it's like all the talking you do on Healer and Bard where you need a lozenge, except you can't put one in because then you start sprinting around the next second and you can't just start choking on your lozenge mid-fight. Evoker, despite the fact that it has like just as much of a recharge time in terms of recollecting all of your spell balls as it does uptime, is still ridiculously fun because throwing things at people is just objectively fun. Warlock, despite the pigeonholing, still leaves you with a solid amount of answers with like what Rook was saying, with taking ice balls still and taking other spell balls to cover your weak points. Overall, the only downside to Wizard is that you are incredibly offensive compared to a lot of other casters, and you do not really get those defenses to help you. You're the only caster that doesn't get any shields. You only get either one single short or
you have
one
a
single
shield,
long, or
but it's your dagger.
Yeah, you have a shield, which is either your dagger, your singular short, or your singular long sword. Which, by the way, really silly you can't just buy 2 single shorts or 2 long swords. I think that's very silly. But I think it's
Wizard.
weird you can only get 1 and 1. Also magic staves. I always forget, like Hugo said, also magic staves, which I forget exist in the game. Also magic staves are glorified, bigger blocking. Which, honestly, this is the only class where I would even consider taking a magic staff.
But Swift Teleport is the end-all be-all.
Yeah, Force Barrier is a really easy way to get yourself killed. You're frozen for 10 seconds. It basically gives the enemy team just enough time to surround you and kill you for not moving your feet. I want to kind of talk about, like, comparatively, Druid gets Stone Form, which now they can choose when they want it end the state. So now the enemy team doesn't know, like, should I be standing on top of you? Because I don't know when you're going to get out of this. If I'm on top of you, you're not going to end the form. So it's probably better for me to leave and come back. Whereas 10 seconds I'm frozen. Okay, I just got to babysit this future corpse. It's not good. I avoid taking it. Maybe others might be more willing to give it a shot and take it, but me personally, I play a bare naked wizard. I don't take ward self. I don't take force barrier. I invite, if I have a druid on my team, to, hey, please, can I get an enchant? Because
please.
Gift of Air is a really good one. Lycanthropy is nice. You get immunity to command. You get a couple points of magic armor.
Hey, healer, you want to give me Adaptive Blessing with immunity to command so bad?
Exactly. Like, there's other people on your team who can provide answers to the problems that you have better than you can. And I think that's the difference between a level 6 wizard and a Paragon wizard, is how well you utilize that. A wizard should never be off by themselves. That's an invitation to your funeral. You want to stick to other people on your team who can protect you, who can make you safe. So we have another wizard at our park who played a just shove monkey. All they did is just shove, mend, and release. And we were playing Ring the Bell, and all they did was stick to our paladin who had a max points of armor and a pole, and they walked the enemy team all the way back to their bell because they couldn't push back because they kept getting shoved. It's really easy for you to just ambulant my power shoves thee, ambulant my power shoves thee, ambulant my power shoves thee, and you are literally going to walk the enemy team back to their base because the enemy team knows even if it's a 2v2, I'm denying this being a fair fight because I'm taking out one of your guys and I am pressuring your weaker fighter, whomever it may be. It really is up to you to decide who the weaker fighter is, but you identify who the weaker fighter is, who the less prepared to take on your threat is, and you shove the other one. And you keep them back and you don't let them do anything and you keep taking that space until you get an objective. You don't have to play. And this kind of goes back to why I was saying like the specific spell list almost doesn't matter because the wizard has the unique ability of being able to constantly walk and cast spells. If you choose to go Icy Blast Shatter, okay, take all your Icy Blasts and experience your Shatter, steal life, keep recharging your shatter. Like that's absolutely how I play wizard, and that's what helps me like stay in the fight longer. But you could just as easily take entangle and charge your drag belows, and then now you have more frequency. But all that really matters is you're controlling that 20-foot space, you're sticking with your team, and you can figure out the rest. The
During the
specific
20.
spell list, you can make bad spells work. You can make throw work. And as long as you play it right and you're utilizing your tools with the right mindset, wizard has an answer to every single problem.
So with that in mind, where do we think wizard falls? Like a final note. I would say wizard is probably, if not tied with druid, if not maybe slightly worse than druid, if only for the fact that AA is a bit of a problem right now because warrior gets it with such frequency and imbue shield is such a pain in the ass that you have to pay the dispel tax so much.
To be fair, wizards get the best dispel magic in the game because
Yeah,
their
they
dispel
do.
magic is naturally charge 3.
I would say they're either they're either like, this is not saying that they're in a tier below druid. They are as good, just whether or not one is better than the other. It's choosing between favorite kids at
I
that
think
point.
they're like A
I
tier.
would put healer in its own category of S tier, and then wizard druid competing for A tier because druid having 2 icy blast per life, choosing to, if I want to go avatar of nature and just buff the life out of myself and still get a golem that I can also buff the life out of. You're talking about 2 people on your team who could potentially have, like, I've got a monk with me, and monk I'm throwing golem, I'm throwing imbue weapon, I'm throwing stone skin, and that guy is gonna be a killer. And then me, I'm gonna give myself lycanthropy, and I'm gonna be immune to command. I'm gonna have my 2 points armor. I'm gonna be able to crush shields. Like druid, I think is different. They play the field very differently from wizard. Wizard,
It's
it
proactive
can
to
be one of the
reactive.
biggest. Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it's the difference between like planning out where your enchantments are gonna go versus I'm just controlling space and I am just pushing people back. I would consider wizard to be like, it would fill the same role that a pole arm would have on the field. Is if I get charged, I die, but I'm constantly pushing people back and people have to respect the space that I take up.
And in fairness, the wizard doesn't have to, they don't drop a brick the moment they hear I shall restore the balance. Because I know every AON player from here to Timbuktu immediately hears that and like, well, I'm done. There's nothing I'm going to do about it. Both me and my golem are going kaput. There's nothing I can do. The comment of saying, it depends for me on a metric of casting, stick, and awareness. If you're best at casting, go wizard. If you're best at stick, go druid. If you're best at awareness, go healer. I kind of think you need the awareness and the casting ability on all of them. Maybe less so on druid, because druid you only need to know like what your comp is going to go for and what your plan is going. So it's a different kind of awareness. But like healer, super need of awareness. Wizard, seeing what the problem is on the board to kind of answer each of it. But I can definitely agree with that.
I feel like with any of them, though, especially with at least certain types of wizard, your stick skill has to be kind of competent, especially with the fact that wizard, you have to be good at casting, and also, depending on the style you're playing, you should also be competent with at least a single short, or maybe even Florentine, most of the time a single short, because that's the only defense you have when someone runs up to you is either hope you have your swift teleport ready, hope you're faster than them, or start throwing hands.
I think the reason you wouldn't want to take a short as a wizard, this is speaking as a wizard who takes a short, the reason you wouldn't want to take a short is because you don't even want the thought in your head of I can fight this. Throw that out. That's useless for you. You are the target and you're the VIP. And if you're the VIP, you don't want to die. If I start thinking I could take that guy, I still have a short sword. He has to respect that I could still technically kill him. Like, no, you shouldn't respect that you think you can kill him. You need to get the F out of there.
It's the one class in this game that
Yeah,
gives you an ego. It actually, like, rightfully gives you an ego, and you should respect, like, having that ego. Like,
Yeah.
I'm way too important to get myself killed for this. Fuck
Yeah.
that. I'm
I
going.
think
I'm going in the opposite direction.
most casters have that. At least when I was playing Battery Bard, I had that mentality. I was like, I'm too important to die.
Yeah, because you're normally you're running deep with a healer, and then it's like, all right, you know what to do. Bring me back. Oh no, I traded 1 for 1. Oh
I guess it's just
no.
because I've seen so many battle mages who do just run the single short and go, wounding, bonk, wounding, bonk. Then I'm like, that's pretty good.
Keep in mind, the person who does that is a warlord.
That's not the point. I've seen other people do it too, but still. Yep.
So I just want to make a couple quick mentions
Yes.
before we wrap up. Pyrotechnics, I love that spell. That's probably one of my favorite spells in the game. I would never take it if I wasn't a warlock. Full stop. I don't think it's worth the investment of a 5th level spell if you are only limited to up to 2 per refresh. At 4 per refresh, you can start playing a little bit more of a gamble game of, faking someone out like, ooh, I'm going to break your equipment. You got to drop it. And if they don't drop it, they lose it. 2 is not enough. 4 is amazing. And again, I wouldn't even use all 4 of them. I just want to have 4 so that I can create the threat and not have someone call me on my bullshit. Swift, I think for any caster class, you should always have 2 Swift. No exceptions. Wizard being able to swift mend, swift release, swift teleport, in these high stress situations, like you want to be able to get in, get out. Being able to swift repair a shield so someone can get back into the line, swift release yourself from being stopped, or swift release one of your allies from being frozen so they can get back to fighting. All these things are super valuable. Always, assuming your archetype doesn't prevent you from doing it, always take releases. I always take at least 2 take 2 releases, 2 mends. I take 1 teleport because if I'm getting into 2 bad situations per life, I'm doing something wrong. That's the way I think about it. I have to play really cautiously and respect how naked I am as a wizard. The less confident I am, the better I do. I don't know if you guys have played a game called Project Zomboid, where you're just being chased by zombies. It doesn't matter how many zombies I kill, there's still only one of me. And I have to respect that the first time someone stands on top of me is the last time I will live. It's the last time I'm taking a breath in that life.
Shout out planar grounding. That spell's kind of bonkers with the amount of assassins that are generally playing.
Oh, yeah.
Because planar grounding, it's not just to yank you out of insub. It's I'm gonna yank you out, and you can't go insubstantial for what is it like 30 seconds?
10 seconds?
10 seconds?
Is it? I thought it was 10.
I think it is to go back.
Vacate the
It's 30
vicinity.
seconds. It's 30 seconds, which is bonkers.
That's even worse. Oh my
The thing is, you
lord.
can
Okay.
also still cast it on players that are not currently in sub because you just can't go back to insubstantial. So if a wizard keeps casting it, then I'm like, well, shit.
So
I'm not
I
doing
hear
anything.
you on that. I think planar grounding is a very solid answer to an assassin. You want to play the mind game with them, and Callahan beat me to it. But anytime I see an assassin and I don't want that assassin to ever flank or come behind my lines or disrespect my space, I walk up to them and I say the following word.
And the power of the ether consumes thee. The power of the ether consumes thee. If they don't get out
Swift,
immediately.
the power of the ether consumes thee. Steal life. dimensional rift. Now they know that if they come over here and they do that shit a second time, they're just gonna die and have to walk back to their base again.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what's more of like doing mental damage to a person. Getting hit with the planar grounding or getting killed by D-Rift. I have not seen it happen.
Personally,
But
I
Lord
would be
forbid
more scared of
the
planar
D-Rift.
grounding, because if someone D-Rifts me, at least the thing is, I know that I can finish a D-Rift, I can finish a exiting insubstantial incant pretty quick. If I know someone's packing D-Rift, and I see them close enough, I'm probably either A, gonna end my insub, or B, walk away and blink away from them.
Ambulance.
If someone planar grounds me, that still hurts me for 30 seconds afterwards, even if I'm no longer insubstantial. As an assassin, I am more scared of a level 2 planar grounding.
I hear what you're saying, but my argument for that is planar grounding as an answer to assassins means one of two things. I still have to answer the problem. So I either have to be able to kill the assassin as soon as they come out of their insub, or I have to cast another spell on them, like wounding, like command them stopped, like, something along those lines. I just don't want to invite that assassin to come up with an idea that ends with, if that guy planar grounds me, I'm going to charge him.
With that in mind, the ways to put the fear of God into assassins and all players alike. This has been the War Table. We have finally covered all the casters. We've covered every class in Amtgard. That's it. We've done all of them. What's next? Glad you asked, non-existent person in my head. We're going to be taking a small sabbatical, but we have a new series that's coming out that you guys are going to be loving. I promise you'll love. Leo, since this is your baby on this one, I want you to introduce it.
Coming out once I have a general script solidified and a game plan in mind. We're going to be doing a Smith Spotlight series. It's going to be oriented around interviewing some of our more prominent Smiths in Neverwinter, and then maybe at some point beyond, and talking with them about their game design philosophy, what they look for when they're creating games, what maybe their favorite parts of battle games are, if they even like battle gaming themselves, and, some of their design quirks and things like that. It'll be a good way to get in the mind of smithing, because battle gaming, as much as we all love playing in battle games, there still has to be people who make those battle games. So the next series is going to be about those guys.
For one thing that kind of helps you lead in if you are pursuing things like Path of Battle and Battlemaster as a whole, is that making and understanding games is an invaluable skill for you to have. I was doing some digging about this the other day and was looking at the overlap between the number of Master Smiths and the number of Battle Masters in a kingdom. Normally it's about half. So there are double as many Battle Masters in a kingdom as there are Master Smiths. But a good majority of the time, the Master Smiths are also Battle Masters. Now, what order those come in tends to vary, but it helps you understand the game better because you get to learn and understand game flow in a completely different way from a completely different perspective. And that kind of perspective helps you learn to become a better battle gamer. I invite you to hop in onto this series because just knowing some of the guests that are planned for it are going to really, really sell you on the idea, because these guys have some really good ideas. Some of them are young blood. Some of it are proven, tested games designers, all of which have completely different understanding. All of them will definitely get you a different perspective on the art of battle gaming from a completely different angle. Without further ado, these have been my two wonderful co-hosts, Rook and Leo. Thank you guys for helping out as usual. You guys are amazing co-hosts, and you guys make this show bearable to run. I love you both.
Thanks, pal.
I love him.
I love him. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have been your host. This has been The War Table. Stay hungry, and we'll see you guys next time.